Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where we talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Your Honor Season 2, Episode 5. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So first and foremost, let's pick up with the whole Desire situation, specifically Big Mo and Eugene, because obviously the fact is he came in possession of her money. It's like, oh, I know what happened. You most likely were in Houston with my sister, so that's how you just magically disappeared thanks to Little Mo. And now he gets brought back to New Orleans, and his aunt's not too happy to see him because it's like, oh, you're the failure. You kind of screwed the pooch on this whole situation, which I'm like, to be fair, he was doing you a solid. He was trying to get like a drug deal set up. Then he made the deal because you wanted him to make the deal. And then you backed out literally last second. I'm like, how is that? Like, and she's putting all this onus on him. I'm like, how is it his fault? You're the one that backed out the deal. You wanted him to find new drugs to sell because I guess in her mind, it's like, you're the one that made the promise. You never had to make the promise in the first place. But it's still like, you're the one that screwed the pooch. He told you this guy was not to be messed with, Roderick. And it's like, yeah, we got in bed with a cartel. And she's like, no, you're the one that screwed the deal. I'm like, no, you backed out of it. Like, even I'm like, yo. And especially because it's like, you spent that on your... Once again, we don't know what she's going to use to club flow. Once again, we don't know if it's going to be a laundering money type of situation or what. Once again, it just seems like it's more a personal thing of like, yeah, I own this club. I want something that's mine because this club means something to my family just in general. I think she specifically referenced her dad and what this club meant to her. Him and her, but also like what it means to her girlfriend. So like she has extra motive, like, but it's all personal. It's not like business related. Once again, not that we're aware of. So I was curious like what Eugene was thinking like when he did this, but his main motivation was trying to help out little Mo because he's like, because I guess he thought that maybe Lil Mo was going to try and run with that money. I guess that was going to be his plan. It's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to take this money and run after like, because now in retrospect, he told Eugene like, yo, that money's going to be my life. My life is in your hand, little man. I thought that was because it's like, right, I need to go back home, give it to my other aunt. But as like Eugene kind of put it like, oh, you were going to run. I was like, I totally did not read that situation as like he was going to run. Oh, so now Big Mo also has to figure out what she's going to do with Little Mo. It's like, right, you failed me as a soldier, like you don't follow orders. And also, what should I do with you as a, family? You're also family, you're my nephew. Like, what should I do in that regard? So, especially because now she's in this situation where, yeah, she bought the club, everything works out, everything's hunky-dory. But Roderick followed them as they brought Lil Mo back to New Orleans, and he was skulking around, but we learned from Carlos' perspective of like, yo, you don't skulk around Desire's territory like that. And so Big Mo had to sit down with him because he's like, cool, I'm owed what I'm owed, and she's like, nah, that money's already gone, but what we can do is we can walk away from this situation with a win-win. You front me the drugs, and basically, I'm going to get the money circulated and I'm going to pay you back in installments. And he's like, okay, so you want me to give you an advance and then you're going to pay in installments. He's like, yeah, I got to run that up the chain. The people I work for, he's like, I'm the more negotiating type. Yeah, like you go ahead and you can kill me if you want to, but like the international side of things, they're going to call people in and they're going to be less negotiable. It's like, you are a New Orleans based gang. No matter how tough and how dangerous you are, you're still dealing with like a large-scale cartel organization that has international ties. It's like, you don't want that smoke, you don't want that fight. So, but like the fact of the matter is, Big Mo does not blink. The fact is that she kind of concedes on like the 15% like interest and added bonus to it, but it's like, even he had a comment on like the fact that she had big balls and stuff. I even love that kind of like flowed into the Eugene, like, because that had actually kind of come up a little bit in the Eugene conversation, because she's like, right, coming back to New Orleans, it took balls to do that, and also took real smarts to disappear the way you did like in Houston like that. But at the end of the day, she's like, I hope you didn't trade one for the other. So like, I hope you didn't trade all those brains and smarts coming here to be brave, so. It was actually really sad too, like the moments between Eugene and Little Mo, because it is a thing of they both try to save each other in their different ways. Little Mo let Eugene kind of reinvent himself in Houston, and Eugene tried to help out, like in this regard, because he's like, yeah, if like that money left, like that money disappeared, she would have found you and she would have killed you. He's like, yeah, but she's going to kill you now too. So it looks like she's letting Eugene slide a little bit, but she is going to send him back to Houston because it's like, right, my sister was good to you. What your grades like? Do you like it there? So she's going to make sure he goes back to Houston because it's like, once again, last thing you want is anyone in the Baxter family seeing that he's still alive, or anyone connected to the Baxters seeing that he's still alive. Because if they do, that's going to be a whole world of trouble and hurt coming their way. So I think also things worked out for little Mo because of Mo's girlfriend. Like, if it wasn't for the Big Mo's girlfriend, like, saying, like, right, no matter what, he's family. Because it's also thing of, if you treat family like that, for her, it's like, I don't know what we're doing. Because it's like, right, I want to be a part of your life. I want to be part of your family. Because it's like, yo, you know who I am. You know what I do. It was always, don't ask, I won't tell type of situation. But it's like, yeah, this is your nephew. He's family. And so I think that all played a major contributing factor in why. I mean, plus Big Mo was already conflicted because of it. Feels weird to say Mo. I've never talked about it. Like, my sister's name is Monet, so it's just like, obviously we all just call her Mo. So it's like, it's weird every time. Like, it's one of those things where I have to actively not think about it. So every time I'm saying Mo, I feel weird. I'm like, oh, it's like I'm talking about my sister, one of my sisters. Either way, tensions and all that aside. But Big Mo lets him go, doesn't kill him, but it's like, yeah, you're not a part of us, you're nothing else, you're not even family to us. Basically, blood in, blood out, and basically they, you kind of get jumped into a game. They had to jump him for him to leave, and you could tell it still struck a chord with her because she couldn't even look at it go down. Because once again, even what her girlfriend said is like, he's not some stranger, he's family. So even she didn't want to see that. And the fact is, she even told Eugene to wear his headphones so he wouldn't hear this go. Because I thought she was just going to straight up shoot him. But it's like, no, you're going to take this ass whooping and, leave. And we see him they kind of dump him somewhere and he's walking off on his own. So where he goes, what's next for Lil Mo, who knows? Maybe he's going to find his way to Houston and just start fresh there. I don't know. Like, maybe him... Especially too, because he thought this was the end for him. He appreciated what Eugene had tried to do for him, but he also said, like, right, because Eugene was like, hey, were you friends with Kofi? He's like, you can have friends and you can have a soldier, but you can't have both. But he's also like, you kind of being like, yeah, Kofi was a soldier, wasn't even really a friend, because that's just not, you can't have both of those in this life, in this world. But he does apologize because, like, going through all that you've gone through, that's why he did what he did. It's like, little man lost so much, especially because he blames himself because he's the one that told Kofi to, like, do that job for Charlie. So he's the one that put Kofi in that mess, and it's like, eventually, and to fall out, like, there's other contributing factors, but Lil Mo takes a lot of, like, on himself for that. Like, that's why he took Eugene under his wing and why he continues to look after him doing what he did. So it's like, yeah, you should have your, like, going through all this right now, you should have a big brother here to look after you. And I'm sorry that you don't because of my actions, my decisions, so we'll have to wait to see what the entire fallout of that is. The continued situation with Roderick, it's like, I think Big Mo might have bitten off more than she can chew. We'll see how it ultimately ends up working out, but I don't think it's going to go the way she wants to, especially with everything the Baxters are planning. I don't know if that's going to, like, clash with what they're doing, but it's also like, we know Gina's got all the smoke for Big Mo, so it's like, yeah, that's going to turn into a whole thing. So speaking of the Baxters, Jimmy's in a very complicated position because it's like, yeah, Gina's not too happy about him pulling that stunt last episode. Oh yeah, Charlie's going to be Rocco's godfather. It's like, yeah, she didn't like that. The whole making him eat the cannoli. And the fact is he woke up the next day kind of a little sick. It's like, she probably did add some very specific stuff to his to make him sick because no one else seemed to have an issue. Like, because there was also a cannoli for her father and Carlo, but those are people she loves. She didn't really love Jimmy in that moment. In fact, kind of didn't even like Jimmy in the moment. So Jimmy was kind of getting it all from all fronts this episode because it's like, yeah, Gina kind of doesn't like the way he approaches things. His father-in-law was kind of like, oh, everything you own, you didn't make it on your own. Everything was built off the backbone of the Conti name, so none of your accomplishments are really your own. Because he's trying to say like, oh, I know how to run a few, I've started a few and run a few businesses of my own. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't count. You never started them from the ground up on your own because you always had the foundation of the Conti family kind of backing that. That name opened a lot of doors, kind of made a lot of stuff happen for you. So kind of like trying to steal his accomplishments from him. Thea's obviously there. She doesn't want to be, especially because Michael pushed her away and she thinks it's because of her family. Hell, even her and Carlo joked about like, oh, we should kill mom and dad. It's like, oh yeah, how should we decide? Rock, paper, scissors, and the loser kills mom. And Carlo's like, obviously. It's like, how would you do it? Popsicle, evidence melts away and stuff like that. It's like, which I've seen enough crime dramas. I think that might even been something that's come up in Case Closed or Detective Conan. But I think I've seen that in like some live action crime dramas and stuff, like using like a frozen weapon to kill someone and then it melts away. Yeah. So that was kind of his plan, to use a popsicle specifically, with a sharpened point. So. But it's back to that whole conversation about like, oh, like Thea doesn't want to baptize Rocco. And she kind of already got Michael's perspective on it. It's that whole conversation of, will it, as he talked about like that arguments he had with Robin about it, like baptizing Adam. And I thought she would have been more okay with it by this point, but she's still putting up a fight because it's her mom asking. Her dad, who knows if her dad asks as fervently as her mom does. So that's her main reason for pushing back is because of her mom asking. But their dad is like, Jimmy's like, your mom is kind of the rock of this family. Like when everything kind of doesn't go right, like she's kind of that rock, and her religion is kind of like, her faith is what kind of keeps us grounded. So baby Rocco is going to get baptized. And she's like, fine, he will, but I want Carlo to be the godfather, which obviously it's like, oh, like that's a great choice. And so Jimmy's happy with that, and so is Gina. And it's like, yeah, keeping it in the family, more so in the family in that regard. But also the Baxters are in this complicated space where Gina and her dad have their own mindset about how they want to run things. And it's like, cool, we don't kowtow to anyone. So if this mayor, Charlie, doesn't want to fall in line, bet, we got you, homie, we got you. We'll just kill you and put someone else in that position. So Jimmy warns Michael, which, that's the thing. Jimmy can be bloodthirsty, but I talk about it. I've said it time and time again, how Gina is more gangster than he is. Like, don't get it twisted. Jimmy can get in his mobster gangster bag, but like Gina's on a whole other level. She kind of really runs shit because a lot of those more explosive decisions last season were kind of on her. So they want to handle things that way, and now it puts Michael further in that position of doing what he's got to do for the sake of protecting Charlie. I mean, Charlie was the main reason why he did all this in the first place. But after everything last episode, he just like ignores all contact from Olivia, dumps the phone. She stops by the place being like, that was kind of uncool, Michael. He's like, well, okay, so you want to know what happened, this, and this. Well, you would know about all this because that's up to where the recording captured before I flushed it. Oh, and then Gina's father showed up. Then Jimmy put a gun to my head. He's like, wait, whoa. Gina's dad is here? He's like, that's your takeaway? Not the fact is that Jimmy put a fucking gun to my head, was going to pull the trigger. She's almost like, yeah, whatever. She's like, oh, it's good. I mean, sadly, if Jimmy had killed, she's like, right, it's a RICO case. So if we get one, we can get them all. She's like, I mean, taking down the Baxters is one thing, but taking down the Contis, oh, that's a whole other level. She's like, yeah, I mean, imagine if Jimmy had actually pulled the trigger on you. And he's like, really? She's like, I'm kidding. It's like, Jesus, you are so jacked up. Olivia. But I think once again, he's tired of it all. And she even says this line where Olivia says, oh, when Jimmy put the gun down, you were relieved. I think there's that complicated thing of, I wasn't. I took it as like he was almost like all right, damn it, I'm still here type of thing. But maybe it was in retrospect relief of just kind of like, right, you feel like you're ready to die and you want to, but when the going gets tough, you're happy to be alive. I mean, he has extra motivation to be alive. He's a grandfather, and so, but he has all the reasons because he's pushing Fia away. Like, I'm not going to go down that. I need to keep her away from me because he sees Fia as a good person. She's the mother of his grandchild, and it's like I don't want to like get you mixed up in all of this. Like, I'm already causing so much pain for so many people. I've hurt so many people because of the choices and decisions I made. He told her last episode, like, bad things happen when I'm around, and just Fia didn't really listen because for her it's like she sees her family as evil. Having someone outside of her family she can rely on, because she has at least Carlo, but Carlo has that conversation where he's like, "You're strong, Fia. You're stronger than all of us. I mean, doing what you've been able to do." The fact of the matter is, because she's worried that Rocco is going to grow up like effed up like they are, like her and Carlo are, because it's like, yeah, I'm afraid he's going to end up like mom and dad, but it's like, he's not going to. And he's like, how can you tell? He's like, he's going to grow up to be like you, because he's like, I can tell because I'm like mom and dad, so when it's all said and done, to protect Charlie, Michael ends up telling him the truth about everything. It's like, yep, Jimmy isn't just going to intimidate you. He will kill you. So, once again, and it won't be 100% his choice in that regard. But it's like, yeah, I've seen this guy kill someone right in front of me without hesitation. So, the guy that got killed last season. But Charlie's like, what are you not telling me? He's like, I'm part of an FBI investigation. And it's like, so were you trying to protect me from the feds or Jimmy, the mobster that can kill me? It's like, both, actually. Because it's like, right, you sold me out and you also took me to a party where I get shown taking a picture with the mobster, New Orleans' biggest mobster. And now that's screwing up his campaign, because now that photo is circulating. That's kind of the whole point. Jimmy was trying to kind of put you in a very compromising position and just kind of solidifying their friendship. And I guess in his mind, he thought like, hey, that's an olive branch, instead of, maybe he did see it as the damning thing that it would be, and it would hurt Charlie's chances. So I was like, hey, work with me and I can make your chances of continue, the mayorship situation better. But now Michael has no one. At the very least, he had Charlie, and even that was holding on by a thread because Charlie didn't know the truth. Now he does. He's pissed at Michael. It's like, right, you're trying to help me and stuff, but it's like, yeah, you're causing more and more problems in my life. It's just, yeah, like Michael literally has no one now because he pushed Fia away and trying to keep her and his grandchild away. Him and Charlie aren't in a good place. Him and his mother-in-law are okay at best, He hasn't had to be around her too much because I think it's because the whole thing of her being out of town and stuff. So, but Michael's just alone again. And so he's just done with everything because of everything with Olivia. Charlie does make the deal with Jimmy, but it's for Olivia's sake, but also his sake. But he also says in the end, it's a win-win. If Olivia takes down Jimmy, boom. But even if she doesn't, if she fails and Jimmy just buys up or leases out the waterfront and ends up doing what he's doing, it's a win to the city too, because he's planning on having like libraries and income housing built there, and black-owned businesses have to be a part of building it. So it makes him seem like he is there with the people, giving jobs and positions and things that's going to help the community in the long run. So he wins on that front. So it's a win either way in some regard. So how it all plays out. But even at the end of the day, Charlie was like, whichever way it plays out, I gotta live to fight another day. So we also got something with Nancy discovering something that is like, right, she gets so focused on a case, sometimes she has blinders on and might end up missing something important, and ended up finding something. She's like, yeah, this will get Michael to play ball. I was like, it's something related to Robin, because that was the biggest thing where I was like, the way they were setting up the Robin thing, I almost was like, are they gonna like tie that into the season storyline, and it never happened in season 1. But I was like, well, since it got a second season, I'm assuming that's got to play some role in, because it's such a significant part of, like, yeah, it's just a background thing that's significant to Michael and Adam's story, that like that is, there's no closure on that front. So I figured it had to be. I thought the thing was they had another suspect, and now it's like, right, we can help you get justice for Robin, but you got to play ball. But initially, Michael's just done with Olivia, and she's like, all right, I see how it is, because he's like, yeah, you want to take me to jail? Fine. Nancy shows up, arrests him, take him to the police station. It's like, cool, some new evidence came to light. Where were you on the night that your wife died? And it's like, I guess someone saw something related to, I guess, like connected to Michael, and is going to be implicating that maybe he has something to do with Robin's death, which is like, I didn't, but I don't know. Because why would this, like, motivate him to maybe using Robin's death to be like, yeah, this is kind of your fault, so using that guilt against him to motivate him to do what's right. But I figure it would have to have a direct correlation of, like, it has to be something directly connected to a killer that would give him the motivation of, like, so either we're going to find out someone from the Baxter family ended up killing her, and you wanting to take them down, helping us take them down is going to be taking down Robin's killer, so you have extra motivation behind your decision. I mean, once again, the fact is Nancy's like, yeah, this is how we get him to cooperate makes me, or not unless it's like a thing of, oh, we're going to take you to court now over your wife's death. And now it's like, he's going to fight tooth and nail not to kind of have to deal with that or something. Or, I mean, I'm sure he'd still want his day in court to prove himself innocent. I don't know. We'll have to wait to see what the next episode is all about, to really to see what motivating factor is being contributed in this regard to force Michael's hand. Now, I'm curious, is the entire next episode going to be like a flashback to what happened, or we're going to get pieces of a flashback while parts of the episode are set present day? I could definitely see, it just depends on how they want to go about it, but I could definitely see next episode being like fully in the past, and maybe like none of the episode is set present day, or maybe like fractions of it, or like I said, 50-50, or I don't know. But I'm really interested to find out more about this Robin situation and find out what that all entails and where all this is ultimately heading and going forward in the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.